passage. And no small tempest kept raging about us. All hope of being saved was finally abandoned. That's where we stopped at last Sunday. And we were talking about the storms of life. And in this passage, they were on this journey heading to Rome, and the journey wasn't going too well. And we talked about the fact that even when you follow God, understand that He hasn't promised us smooth sailing. He just promised to take us through, and that we would get to where we're supposed to be going. Amen? And so, in this passage, he's talking about it was so dark for so long that all hope of being saved was gone. I know you can't relate to that because your life has just been one big blessing after another. I understand that you can't relate to that because you have never got any bad news about yourself, about your job, or about your children. You've never found out that your children were in jail or that they were flunking out of school. You have never found out that the power was going to be off for a couple of days because of something had happened. You've never found out anything. You've never had a job where there was a rumor floating around that they were going to be laying people off. You've never worked on a job for 20, 25 years and got there one day and there was a sign on the door that said that they were closed. And that all your 25 years was down the tube. I understand. You've never been anywhere where you knew that everybody was planning something against you. That has never happened. But so this is for the other people. And I wrote a couple of scriptures down. Job chapter 30, verse 26. Job says, when I looked for good, then evil came unto me. And when I waited for light, there came darkness. I know that kind of stuff has never happened in your life. But on this particular trip, that's what happened. Amen. And so they were sitting there, and after 20 days, they said they hadn't seen any light so long. They just really felt that it was over. It was over. And I want you to know that there are going to be moments in your life when you just feel like, man, what's it all about out here? What's happening? Why is all this happening in my life? And why has everyone turned on me? Them days will come. Them days will come. And so what we're going to do is talk about what do you do while the storm is raging.
Okay, come on there.
See, we talked about the storms coming. But what do you do while they're here? So in verse 21, it says, then as they had eaten nothing for a long time, Paul came forward in the midst and said, let me stop for a second. Notice it says they hadn't eaten anything for a long time. So what had they been doing? They had been fasting. The key is to never forget God. The key is to continue, even in the midst of your stuff, you keep doing what you know to do to draw closer to God and to see what God is doing, to hear from God. In fact, that's one of the things that Job said. Job said, if I could just get an audience with God. If I could just get an audience with God. Have you ever been there before where all craziness is going forward and all you wanted to do was hear from God? Oh, man. Because I'm just sitting, if I could just hear from God. Why? Because God is the rock and He's the stabilizer. He is the stabilizer of your life. Everything else is going crazy, but there's a firm foundation in Christ, right? So if I could just hear from God. So it says, then as they had eaten nothing for a long time, so they weren't playing video games, they weren't staying home from church. It says, Paul came forward into the midst and said, men, you should have listened to me and should not have put to sea from Crete and brought on this disaster and harm and misery and loss. So the first thing Paul does, because he's been sitting there for a while, they've been, he was probably playing video games. He was sitting there for a while, relaxing, and finally he stands up and he's got something to say. By the way, listen, as believers, you got to be careful about what you say and when you say it. Sometimes you got to let a thing go through, because if you speak too soon, the lesson will be lost. Sometimes you got to let people go through certain things and see that what they're doing has been bad and terrible before you come in to the rescue. Why? Because if they don't see how bad it is, they won't know they need help. If you don't know you're sick, you don't go to the doctor. But anyway, so he says, you should have listened to me. Now, look, let's be for real. If we were in the same place with Paul, with those people, we probably wouldn't have listened to Paul either. We know who he is now. They did. Okay? They were sellers and ship owners and stuff. They knew better than a guy who was a prisoner. And so, listen, on your job, you're going to find yourself, because you're hearing from God, with some information that the people over you need to know. But don't be shocked if they don't want to listen to you.
Come on.
But you still have to tell them, because that's how God's going to open it up to where they realize that you one of his. And that even though you didn't go to school for this company, even though you're not as educated as they are, you hear from God.
Come on now, Daniel Joseph.
I don't remember where it was. I remember it was like Boeing or somebody had a great big plane thing going off. Like they were introducing a big new plane or something. They got it all together and got to working on it and so forth. And they couldn't get it together. And they called this one guy together, and this guy, I'll give you the different. I'll give you the one you know about. With Joseph and what he had to tell Pharaoh about the 7 bad years and the 7 good years. And so what was my point? God talked to them and told them something that the experts didn't know. That guy with the plane, he prayed and he found the place where the problem was, and he charged them this big bill, and they got mad and said, you only spent an hour. And he says, no, look, I'll charge you a little bit for my time, but I'm charging you a lot, because it's not about knowing how to do it, it's knowing where to do it. All of y'all didn't know. And see, God can tell you the where. Even if you don't understand the job. God can tell them, look behind panel such and such. You don't even know what panel such and such is, but you praying and God can show you panel such and such. So I'll keep on going. So they didn't know. Okay? They didn't know. And by the way, that's the way we need to pray right now in the midst of this stuff. We need to pray that God gives dreams to our people to show them where the enemy's coming from, to show them where the things are hidden at, and to give them wisdom as to what to do. Because it's a mess and it's not an easy solution. Only God can do this. And that's why I'm encouraged. I'm not encouraged about the wisdom of the United States government. Because we can't even get certain people to agree that it's the government's job to protect the American people. They didn't even stand up. So anyway. Verse 22. Now notice what Paul did. He said, you should have listened to me. Right? Establishing they should have listened. He doesn't keep talking about it though. Verse 22 says, but even now, I beg you to be of good spirit and take heart, for there will be no loss of life among you, but only the ship. Now, if you were on that ship, how would you feel about right now? Well, first off, the dude told you not to go. So at least that tells you he's not a lunatic, Because what he said, even if you don't believe in nothing he stands for, has come to pass. Right? So now if he says nobody's going to lose their life, I'm going to tend to believe him. Why? Because his track record so far is good. There are a lot of people who call themselves prophets out there today, making all kinds of prophecies. I do not believe all of them. I do not subscribe to what they say. But there are some of them that I have seen and I have watched them. No, I didn't watch to hear what they say. I watched to hear if what they said comes to pass the way they said. And over the last 5 years, there's some of them who have impressed me. In fact, they're batting 1,000. Meaning everything they said before it happened has happened. Okay? And so, if you come to Bible study, I can show you some of them. But anyway. So he's on on a good foot now. You see, boy, I'm going to talk about that one day. Let me write myself a note. I'll write myself a note. Yeah, that'll preach. Why I just wrote? I wrote watch them. That's why I wrote 2 words, watch them. I'm gonna do a teaching to show y'all that no matter who you like and who you don't like, you need to watch them. If what they say happens and it's for the good, you need to get off your high horse and stop downing them.
Thank you.
Okay? I can despise you, but if you're good, I can lay my despising to the side. See, I don't have that syndrome that other people got. He says, but even now I beg of you to be of good spirits and take heart, for there is no loss of life among you, but only the ship. And this is where you got to learn how to pray. Because there are things that God will tell you, and you got to hold on to what God told you, irregardless of what happens along the way. We hear from God sometimes. We know what he said, but when things get rough, we walk away. Isn't that also what the parable of the sower says? It says they hear the word, they get excited, but it says when troubles come, they walk away. Right? He says, we're not going to lose anybody. You better hold on to that word. Verse 23 says, for this very night there stood by my side an angel of God to whom, an angel of the God to whom I belong and whom I serve and worship. Why is he so confident? Because while he was asleep, an angel of God visited him and told him what God had to say. You need to pay attention to your dreams. Because sometimes when you're awake, your brain gets in the way. When you're awake, your feelings get in the way. When you're awake, your presuppositions get in the way. But when you sleep, you're not in control. And God can speak to you in your dreams to tell you things that you would never know. When I knew it was time for me to leave the church that I met Mrs. Henderson at, we was kind of thinking, we just kind of feeling it was this time and so forth. I didn't know much of anything about where and when and so forth. Literally, I had a dream. I had a dream about my next pastor and him speaking into my life. And that's how I knew where I was going.
That's good. That's good.
I had never talked to this man before. I didn't know much about him. Now, my wife knew about him, and she knew about the wife. I didn't know this man. But I dreamed where I was to go next and what I was going to do when I got there. You said, well, Pastor, ain't how I do it. I go find out who got the best taste of coffee, and who has the breakfast before church, and, who's close to my house. So I don't have to go too far. No, we drove to Salt Lake for 10 years, 3 times a week. But that's where God said to go.
Come on.
And so that night, the angel of the Lord, notice it says, the God of whom I belong and whom I serve. See, a lot of people want God to talk to them, but you don't want them to do with God.
Uh-oh. Wow.
See, if you walk with God, he can talk with you. He's not a fair weather God. He's not your insurance policy that you call on him when it's a disaster. No, he wants to talk to you every day. He says, for this very night stood by me an angel of the God whom I serve, whom I belong and to whom I serve. Verse 24 says, and he said, do not be frightened, Paul, it is necessary for you to stand before Caesar, and behold, God has given you all that are selling with you. So notice what he says. He said it is necessary for you to stand before Caesar. In order for him to stand before Caesar, what has to happen? He's got to get there. Now, listen. He also said, I've given all them that are with you. You be on an airplane, and you're going on a mission for God, and the turbulence get going crazy, and one of the engines over there go boom, and all that kind of stuff, and all the people start screaming and so forth. Just stand up and say, y'all chill out, be of good cheer. I'm on this plane. They said, oh. I saw this little short video. It was so funny. It was a bunch of people on this airplane, and what I just told you happened. Something crazy like that happened, and it started going crazy. Well, there was a whole bunch of Pentecostal people on the plane, and they went crazy. Start speaking in tongues and decreeing this and claiming this, and that's what the caption was. You want to make sure you got some Pentecostals on the plane with you. Because they were rebuking the devil, and some of them, they weren't screaming, they were praying, and loud, and Jesus, and calling out. And said, yeah, that's who you want on that plane with you. Hi. So it says, keep your courage, men, for I have faith and complete confidence in God that it shall be exactly as it was told me. You have to believe that what God tells you, he has never failed. And no matter how it looks, he's going to accomplish what he said he was going to accomplish.
Yes, he is.
And that's what Paul's saying. And listen, he's saying it before they get there. Remember that old song, you don't have to wait till the battle's over to shout? You can shout now because you know we're going to win in the end. Right? And so, he says, look, I believe, and listen, don't feel ashamed. When you're in the midst of the storm sometime and it's just painful, say, Lord, show me what you're saying right now. Say, Lord, speak to me because I need to hear from you. Other people can say it and it's fine, but man, you need to hear from God. And there's other ways he can do it. We should talk about this, and we don't think we talked about it in a while. Sometimes when God wakes you up in the middle of the night, look at the clock. See what time's on the clock. Find that page in your Bible.
That's good.
Read through it. Because sometimes in that page, he's going to tell you what's happening.
Okay.
Dad do a teaching on that, baby. So, but anyway, we want to hear from God. And look, stop telling God how he has to talk to you. You can be driving down the road praying, and a song will come on that'll answer your prayer. You'll be driving down the road, look up at a bumper sticker. Not a bumper sticker, billboard, yeah. Look up and see a billboard, and on that billboard, it'll answer your question. The car in front of you, a bumper sticker, will answer your prayer. Oh, Pastor, that's just coincidence. You'll be standing at the gas station pumping gas, and the song that's playing overhead, they always playing music, will answer your question. But you got to want to know. Okay? So it says, Why am I telling you that? Because a lot of times you say God didn't say anything. It's because you're expecting to hear a big gong, boom, and the light to shine like Paul on the way to Damascus, and it blinds you, and hear a voice from heaven. You're expecting that. No. Sometimes he'll hit you. Yeah. He'll hit you. He'll remind you of something in the past.
Yes, he will.
Or he'll lay a song on your heart that you'll start singing. Our God is an awesome God. Yeah. He'll hit you with it. So he says, so keep up your courage, man, for I have faith, complete confidence in God that it will be exactly as he told me. Verse 26, he says, but we shall be stranded on some island. So he's getting some details. We're going to make it, but we're going to be stranded on an island. The 14th night had come, verse 27, and we were drifting and being driven about on the Adriatic Sea. When about midnight, the sailors began to suspect that we were drawing nigh to some land. All kinds of ways that can happen. Let me tell you something. On the lake, on the river, on a big place, it's dark. You know they say it's so dark you can feel the darkness? That's what it's like out there. That's what it's like when it's out there. It is dark. We went to Lake Powell one time, and it was a full moon. And so we said, let's go night fishing. We're out there night fishing, and some clouds came and covered the full moon. Oh, it was so black. You couldn't see a thing. And I'm out there with my boat, and with another guy with his boat, we all together. I'm like, man. But the funny thing is, I got a fish finder, and I was playing with the buttons and so forth, and I saw this one page, and it had lines on it, and I went, wow, those lines are where we came from.
Oh, wow.
It was a GPS. That's how we got back. I told the other guy in the boat, I said, look, you follow right behind me. Don't come to my right, don't go to my left. You stay right behind me. I said, because I'm going to ride right back on this line, and this line is going to take us back to the thing, and that's how we got back. We could not see a thing. So, verse 28. Oh, yes, that was the only time I went night fishing. verse 28 says, so they took a sounding and found 20 fathoms. And a little farther, and they sounded again and found 15 fathoms. The sound waves go down in the water, they hit the water and they come back. That's how a fish finder works. It sends out waves and comes back. And you can tell if there's anything in between. Verse 29 says, then fearing that they might fail or fall off our course onto rocks, they dropped 4 anchors from the stern and kept wishing for daylight to come. So they're going on. They know they're getting closer to land. They want to get to land, but not too fast. they want to get to land, but they want to get the good land. They don't want to crash. So they throw anchors out the back to hold themselves still. Listen, sometimes you have to stop. Even if you think you're heading the right way, you got to stop because something's wrong. Something's not quite right. Sometimes it's not the right time. God will hold you up sometime because it's not the right time. And you'll think it's the devil. No, it's God. Why? Because there's a lot of times when God is doing something more than what you think. And so he's not just trying to bless you. He's trying to bless somebody else. And your blessing and their blessing are tied together. So he has to make it so y'all get there at the same time. So he'll hold you up so they can catch up. All right, ladies. Same thing happens when it comes to looking for a man. Anyway. Why? What am I saying? You got to be ready and he got to be ready. If y'all meet before the time, one of y'all ain't ready. Right? Both of y'all might not be ready. And even something that God has intended to be, you'll start it too early and it'll fall apart. Because neither one of y'all ready. What does that mean? Sometimes a yellow light is good. Sometimes a red light is good. Amen? Why? It gets you where you're going. So they had to stop, and what they do? They prayed for day. Why? So they can see. That's why there's seasons and there's times to accomplish things. You can't just do it in your time. You got to wait on God's move. There are times when I've been places and I walk, like you go to a grocery store. I walked into a grocery store, and just as I walked up to the meat counter, the guy came out with all the 50% off meats. Just as I walked up. That was a divine moment. If I'd been there early, I would have left before it came out. If I'd come late, everybody else would have got it before I got there. Right? God will put you in a place to go right there. You'll find the same thing. Ladies, when you go to the mall, the same thing. The same thing. You'll walk around the corner just as they're pulling out that rack with the 50% off stuff. And they'll have one pair of pants your size. And you think, wow, I was lucky. No, you weren't lucky. God orchestrated all that stuff for you to get there. When I used to live in the old place, and I stopped doing this a long time ago because I had to. Anyway, on the corner of Fairfield and 193, there's a Chevron station around that corner. That Chevron station used to sell fried chicken and potato logs. And good fried chicken and potato logs. I used to come to that place, and I would go in there about 8 o'clock at night, and as I walked in, they would get to the place where I go. I'd order a 3-piece, whatever like that there, and he would give me all the stuff. Everything that was left, he'd give it to me. Y'all better stop praying that God will work those things out. So he said, in verse 30, it says, and as the sailors, listen, are y'all ready? Because I got to take it somewhere. It says, and as the sailors were trying to escape secretly from the ship and were lowering the boat into the sea, pretending that they were going to lay out anchors from the bow. So what's happening? The people on the ship are getting smart. Yeah. They figuring, look, we close enough. I'm going to do this my way. I don't care what the captain says. I'm going to get on this boat, and I'm going to roll my behind over here until I get to this land, and I'm going to be safe. Forget the rest of them. All right, Christians. So they were pretending to do that, but they had another plan. Okay? Verse 31 says, Paul said to the centurion, listen, he said it to the centurion. He didn't say it to the captain of the ship. He didn't say it to the people who were getting off on the boat. He said it to the centurion, the guy who was guarding him. He said it to the centurion. Listen, Paul said to the centurion and the soldiers, unless these men remain in the ship, you cannot be saved. I think it was Cynthia McGill. Preached a message a long time ago, back in the 80s. Says, stay in the boat. Stay in the boat. Christians were bad for getting out of the boat. Yeah, we are. Every time something don't go the way we like it, we get out of the boat. Whenever the devil starts beating our behind, we stay home instead of coming to church and staying in the boat. Right? Yeah, we love to get out of the boat. And then we'll lie and say the Lord told us to get out of the boat. No, doggone well, the Lord didn't tell you to get out of the boat. You better stay in the boat to be saved. Okay? But I want to show you something. I underlined this and I stopped. I even printed it out for you. Notice what he says. And Paul said to the centurion and the soldiers, unless these men remain in the ship, you. Who's he talking to? The centurion. He said, and the soldiers, he says, you cannot be saved. He did not say they cannot be saved. He didn't say the people who get in the boat can't be saved. That's what's logical, ain't it? That's not what he said. He says you cannot be saved. Well, I thought King James had just messed up again. So I printed out verse 31 in about 30 different translations. That's all it is. Let's see. CJB says, you yourselves cannot be saved. Okay? The DN New Testament says, you cannot be saved. Folks, all of them say that. You cannot be saved. The Phillips translation says, unless these men stay aboard the ship, there is no hope of your being saved. He's talking to the centurion. Okay? The LSB says, you yourselves cannot be saved. The Living Bible says, you will all die unless everyone stays aboard. See that? It caught my attention. He said, look, unless we all stay in the boat, we all gonna die. Message Bible says we're all going down. We're all going down. So what's our lesson here, folks? Don't think what you do only affects you. Don't say it's just my business. What you do can punish everybody else around you. Give you the short version. In Joshua chapter 7, verses 19 through 26. I'm not going to read it all. I'm going to give you the short version. Joshua chapter 7, verses 19 through 26. They just went into Jericho, took Jericho out. God told them not to touch anything in there. A fellow named Achan went in there. He saw a gold bar, some silver coins, and a beautiful Babylonian robe. That's right, ladies. Be careful about them robes y'all grab. Them cute dresses. Sometimes they ain't good. He saw all that stuff and hid it. What happened? Next 2 times they went to battle, they lost. People died because of what he did. Moses, they cast lots. They found out who it was. He told them what he did. Him and all his people were killed because of what Achan did. Unless we learn to stay together, we all lose. We all lose, okay? So it says, we cannot be saved unless they all stay together. Verse 32 says, then the soldiers cut away the ropes that held a small boat and let it fall and drift away. Verse 33 says, when they waited until it should become day, Paul entreated them all that they should take some food, saying, this is the 14th day that you have been continually in suspense and on alert and without food, having eaten nothing. Them boys have been fasting and praying because they wanted deliverance. They wanted their life. This says they have been doing it for 14 days. And apparently nobody's complaining. Every time we call a fast at church, oh man. We can say skip 1 meal a day. They fasted for 14 days. You know why they were able to do it? Because their life depended on it. And I want to tell you, sometimes our life depends on it. Remember he said in the book of, he said that these kind come not out but by prayer and fasting. There are certain things in your life that God's going to call you to fast for in order for you to see breakthrough. And it depends on how much you want it as to whether or not it's going to happen. Nobody else can do it for you. You're going to have to do it. It's your situation. Okay? And so they were fasting. Why? Calling out on God. Remember when Jonah was on that boat and everything was going crazy? What were they doing? They were all praying, seeking their gods for deliverance. Jonah was hiding from them because he didn't want to be seen. He knew it was him. Finally, they called him up. He says to me. And then he said, throw me overboard. You'll be all right. I love that passage. It says that they didn't want to throw him overboard. They still trying to do it. And after a while, it wasn't happening, so they threw him overboard. And they say, Lord, let not this man's blood be upon us. He running from you. But notice, Job caused them problems. Because he was in sin before God. His sin caused problems for the other people. Almost cost them their life. So he says, you've had nothing to eat, okay? Verse 34 says, so I urge, warn, exhort, and encourage, advise you to take some food for your safety. It will give you strength, for not a hair is to perish from the head of any of you. Listen, fasting is great, and you need to fast and so forth, but you also need to understand that when you get to a certain part, depending on what you're going to do, you got to end the fast. Because your body needs food in order to accomplish certain things. They're about to have to swim in crazy waters. So God has already told us what's going to happen. You're going to eat now. You need your strength. A lot of people today are suffering because they refuse to eat or to eat right. Should I say that again? A lot of folk are suffering things in their body. It's not the devil. It's not heredity. It's not in that. It's because you're not eating or you're not eating right. When you go to the store next time, and you go in the meat section, you're going to see some meats up there. A lot of times those meats are going to have stickers on them that are going to say something like this: grain-fed, whatever it is, or organic, whatever it is, or grass-fed, whatever it is, right? Want to know why that's there? To pay you more money for it, right? Right? It's there to cost you more money. But it's there because whatever you fed that animal is going to determine how it tastes. Don't taste like grass, but anyway. But you'll know, you can tell there's a different taste to it. Why did I tell you that? Because what we eat determines what we are made up of too. And a lot of times, you can, how would I put this? You can determine why your blood pressure is up. You can determine why your blood sugar is acting weird by your eating habits. You can. You may get headaches about a certain thing, and God will give you a dream and tell you to stop eating this, that, and the other thing. And the this, that, and the other thing has nothing to do with whether it's right or wrong. It's wrong for you. And when you stop that, your body will be different. Your headaches will go away. Isn't that right, honey? Yes. Yeah. There's certain things you eat, they have an effect on you. Maybe not everybody else, but on you. And so, but here he's telling them, oh, and if you haven't eaten and you don't eat, you will be weak. Your body needs food. Our problem is rarely that we don't eat, it's that we eat too. So, I gotta go do some blood work tomorrow. At the clinic, and yesterday my wife took me out to get some cookies. And think about that, I got home, I went, oh man, shouldn't eat that cookie. Verse 35. 35 says, having said these words, he took bread and giving thanks to God before them all, he broke it and began to eat. Verse 36 says, then they all became more cheerful and were encouraged and took food for themselves. See, not only did it do something for them physically, it did something for their soul, their joy. They were excited. They were eating. They knew something was happening. And so a lot of things can affect what's going on in your life. And sometimes it's not that you need a medicine, it's that you need to change something you're eating. 37 says, all told, there were 276 of us in the ship. And God has already promised that everybody's going to make it. 276 souls. By the way, in the next chapter, when Paul is sitting around that fire and that viper grabs hold of him and he shakes it off, you think, man, what a man of faith. God had already told him he's going to Caesar. That's right. Had he seen Caesar yet? No. Was a snake going to change God's plan? No. No matter what he eat, anyway. Verse 28, it says, and after they had eaten sufficiently, they proceeded to lighten the ship, throwing out the wheat into the sea. Stop. They threw out the wheat into the sea. Why was there wheat there? Because there was a grain ship that they were on. They threw out the wheat into the sea, and they lightened the ship by throwing the wheat into the sea. Why? Because in order for the ship to function better, the less stuff you got in it, the higher the ship's going to sit in the water. So as the waves, the closer you get to land, the more you got of the waves coming over because they're white capping and so forth. So you want to make the boat as light as possible. Why am I telling you all this? Because a lot of times when God's about to do a miracle in our life, we don't do anything to help God along. What am I saying? You want God to help you with your health. Why don't you help God along? Start eating right. Start doing a little exercise. I'm waiting for God to do it. God's going to do a miracle. As I sit here at Golden Corral, nothing too big for God. Not even me. Same thing with financial stuff. I watch people saying, I want God to fix my finances, as I watch them going out making financial terrible decisions. No. I don't want to make it hard for God. As I'm driving down the road, I believe and have faith to believe that God is going to get me from where I am to where He has for me to go. But I still don't try to make it hard for Him. I don't drive down the road at 100 miles an hour, turn the curves on one, because God said I got to go there. I don't do that stuff. I wear my seatbelt. That's a lack of faith. No, it isn't. I'm making it easy for God to get me from here to where I'm going. I'm paying attention as I'm driving down the road. I hate tinted windows. I hate tinted windows. Why? Because I can't see your face. I'll tell you why. Because you can see people about to do stupid stuff. You can see them. You're driving down the road, you say, that lady's not going to stop. You say it before it happens. And sure enough, you're going right around the corner. I was going up the hill, that hill that went up to our house in South Weaver? I was going up that hill from them apartments, and it was snowing, and I came up this hill, and I saw this guy in a gray car way down the other end of the thing. I went, that guy's going to come around that corner, and he's going to lose control. So I stopped right at the top of the hill. Guess what that guy did? You said, Pastor, you should have kept on going. God would have sent down one of His angels to pick you up and move you out of the way of that oncoming car. No, I stopped. I stopped. So they like the ship. Ooh. Some of us got to lighten the ship in order for us to get what God has for us. Some of us got so much stuff on our ship that there's no room for God to put nothing new on it. Verse 39 says, now when the day was day and they saw the land. When it was day and they saw the land. Woo, they were so happy. He says they did not recognize it, but they noticed a bay with a beach on which they, taking counsel, proposed to run the ship ashore if they possibly could. Remember, this is a sailboat. Remember, the wind's blowing. That's why I want a motor on my boat. But anyway, verse 40 says, so they cut the cables and severed the anchors and let them into the sea, and the same time, unlashing the ropes, they held the rudders, and hoisting the foresail to the wind, they headed for the beach. See all that stuff you got to do on a sailboat? On a motorboat, you just go, boom. I don't want no sailboat. 41 says, but striking a cross current, a place where two seas, they ran the ship aground. It says the bow stuck fast into and remained unmovable, and the stern began to break up under the violent force of the waves. So the front of the boat went in there, the back was still out there flapping around, and the wave started tearing. Boy, ain't that a picture of life? Oh, man, that's a picture of life if I ever seen one. Sometimes you're just going on and you know you're going to make it, and the winds come along and throw you off a course, and you get halfway where you want to go, and the other boat's hanging out there, and you're not safe. Ah, it's terrible.
Hold on.
See, this is the reality that we need to know, because if we don't know it, when it happens, we'll think God has deserted us. And notice, nobody wanted to ram their boat into the shore. But sometimes you got to choose between two bad options. You got to choose the better of two bad options. That's life. Sometimes you're in such a mess that there is no easy way out of it. There is no way where everybody's going to be happy. So you got to take the best option you got and go for it. Why? Because it's the mess you in. That's why Smokey the Bear says only you can prevent forest fires. It's better to prevent yourself from getting into the mess than having to figure out what to do once you get into the mess. But once you get into the mess, you can't go back now. Now you got to deal with it. So he says, 43 says, let me go back to 42. You ready? It says, it was the counsel of the soldiers to kill the prisoners, lest any of them should swim the land and escape. So you done made it out of all this mess. You done survived all this stuff that's happened out there on the ocean. And now they gonna kill you? If you're gonna kill them, you should just throw them off out in the ocean. Yeah, make the boat lighter. I'm telling you, that's life. There are gonna be times when you're gonna go from one disaster and you're gonna get to the place where it looks like you're gonna make it, and you're gonna hear some bad news to go with the bad news you already had. That ain't so. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I've seen it before. I've been in places where the moment you look up and you begin to smile, then here comes another one. Around the corner. And you say, well, why don't God protect you from all that? I read somewhere it says that him who did not say or deny his only son. What does that mean? God gave his only begotten son. He knows what pain is. He knows what trouble is. Look, when Jesus talked about if there's another way to do this, take this cup from me, God had all the power to stop what was about to happen. But if he did, we would have been lost. Naturally speaking, it was a bad thing to go to the cross. But it was a worse thing not to go to the cross. That's how life is. So they're going to kill the prisoners. Verse 43 says, but the centurion, wishing to save Paul, prevented them from carrying out their purpose. He commanded those who could swim to throw themselves overboard first and make for shore, and the rest on heavy boards and pieces of vessel And so it was that all escaped safely to land. So what they do in the midst of the sea, they kept their eyes on God. Yes. And what he said, and they followed his instructions. They remembered the promises of God in the midst of the storm. God didn't stop the storm. The storm was still going, but you had to remember that God is bigger than the storm. Here's the other thing. Notice what they had to do. They had to jump into the water. I can assure you, there were people up there who said, I ain't getting in that water. Gonna mess up my hair. I ain't getting in that water. I can't swim. I ain't getting in that water. They gonna send a boat for me. I'm gonna sit right here till a Carnival cruise shows up. You better follow the ones who's in charge. You better follow instructions, because believe it or not, the world doesn't revolve around you. And it's not all about what you want, what you feel, and what you think. They had to get to shore however they could get to shore. Sometimes you're going to have to get to where you're going however you can get there. Look, I love Toyotas. And I prefer riding in Toyotas and going places in Toyotas because I know they're going to get you there. But if I'm broke down on the side of the road and you come up driving a Chevrolet, I'm getting in the car. You come driving up in an old 1940s truck, but it's driving, I'll hop on the back of your truck to get me out of the desert. I'll sit where I gotta sit. Well, there's a whole bunch of corn, bags of potatoes back there, but you can get on that if you want to. Here I come, potatoes. Why do I say that? Because a lot of times we miss our blessing because we're too picky. Yeah. We too choosy. We too picky. I'll stay here and wait till something better come along. No, I'm getting on that truck and we going. Me and my baby be at there looking up at the stars. We'll be like Huckleberry Finn. But the key thing to do in the midst of a storm is remember God. Remember the last thing that God spoke to you. Remember, my dad said something to me the day I was leaving to join the military. My mom was, oh, my baby, doing all that kind of stuff. My dad, he looked at me and said, son, when you get in the Army, he said Army because that's what he was in. I was going to Air Force. He says, remember, the last instructions you get, those are the ones you follow. I heard that and I went off. That was great for military life and great for my job, but it was also great for me as a man of God. Because whenever I got in trouble and I got confused and I started hearing all these voices from everywhere, I would always hear what my dad said. Remember the last instructions you got. And in this case, it was the last thing I know God said. Not the other voices, not what other people saying. What's the last thing you know that God told you? And then I go with that. Now, if he tells me something else down the road, fine. But the last thing I know he said, I'm not going to go with a whole bunch of stuff that feels right at the moment. What do I know God has said? And I'm going to stay with that. I want you to realize that in the midst of stuff that's happening around, quit listening to all the voices. Quit listening to what everybody else says. Quit listening to people telling you what they feel about it and so forth. Know the last thing that God has said. Because whatever he says, that's the way it's going to be. So, Father, we want to thank you today for allowing us to hear from you and to know that storms are going to come. Storms are going to come. But there's a certain way we are to behave in the midst of the storm. We are to behave in the midst of the storm. because, Lord, you are still God, and that we are to keep our eyes upon you and not on circumstances. We read in the New Testament where you were walking on the water. Peter said, Lord, if it's you, bid me to come to you. Peter got out and began to walk on the water. As long as he looked at Jesus, he was fine. But when he began to look at the waves and look at all the stuff around him, he began to sink. Father, let us know that we will keep our eyes upon you. We're going to make it. Father, I pray for anyone who does not know you as personal Savior, that today will be their day. That today they will give their heart to you, and that you would open their eyes, and that they will seek after you with all of their heart. So we thank you, Lord. Amen.
Amen.